Hello everyone, welcome to Team Atlas. My name is Scott and we're going to be doing some standard today. Before we get to the deck tech, I want to remind you that all our videos and content are brought to you by atlascollectables.com, your source for the cheapest trading card prices on the net. Alright, and I got a real interesting deck for you today. This is Bant Marvel. Now, essentially, what I wanted to do with this deck is take all the good stuff about this card, Aetherworks Marvel here, and all the cards that make this work that we've traditionally seen in the red-green shell, and transfer that into a Bant shell. So we have all the same stuff that makes Aetherworks Marvel so great. We got for Tomb with the Ether, for Vessel of Nascency, a couple of Traverse the Uvenwalds, Servant of the Conduit, Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot, all of which providing us energy, getting us closer to Delirium, and helping us, hit our land drops, finding cards that we need. This card's actually very, very important. Of course, Aetherworks Marvel, and then our Eldrazi shell. I like the 3-1 split of Emrakul to Ulamog. I think I want to try it like this first, and then I also want to try this deck with actually 4 Emrakul and 1 Ulamog as well. I'm just wasn't quite sure what to cut. I like this shell for now though, and then of course the 3 Ishkana Graph Widow for some board stabilization, and also as an alternate win con. With the life drain if we get into a pretty big board stall. Alright, now let's talk about the Bant cards that I wanted to try. So Tamiyo Field Researcher is my favorite Magic card. And if you compare this deck to the red-green shell, the Tamiyo is replacing Chandra's. I like playing 4 because the card draw effect in this is just awesome. So normally what we're going to be using with Tamiyo is her +1 and her -2. So she's going to come into play, and if you have board position, you're going to uptick target 2 creatures. I love targeting my opponent's creatures because it's really awesome when they just say go without attacking. So basically, she is a tempo card. She stops damage from coming through on 2 different accounts. One having board position, and then if they do decide to attack and they feel that Tamiyo is a relevant threat that needs to be addressed, which she should, they're going to attack, and you're going to get some cards out of it, and it's just value. Tap up to 2 target permanents, and then they don't untap. So if you're in a little bit of a board stall, their life is pretty low, you can tap 2 target creatures, swing in with your team or whoever you have, and then they can't hit you on the crackback. This is a nice tempo answer to Emrakul until you can draw into another answer. Okay, Sigarda is a really nice one of in this deck. You can go find her with Traverse the Uvenwald, and basically her biggest use is the fact that she stops Emrakul from being able to target you. So yeah, she gives you and humans you control hexproof. And what I've really liked about this card is because RG Marvel is so popular online, she stops the Emrakul trigger, but also in decks like Black Green Delirium, or any deck that has black for that matter, will play some hand disruption like Transgress the Mind and board into Lost Legacy to get rid of your Eldrazi, and she stops that as well. 2 copies of Descend Upon the Sinful. In preliminary testing with this deck, I found this to be just the best card. It is incredible to hit off of Aetherworks Marvel. You can get to it relatively easy. You get to 6 mana relatively easily in this deck, so you can just hard cast it, and you almost always get a 4/4 out of it. preliminary testing, I was playing a 1 of, and I ultimately decided that I want to run 2 in the main deck. And then we have couple of removals, or 4 removal spells here, and these largely replace the Harness Lightning that you see in the RG decks. I like playing a split of 3 Skyweather Shot to 1 Deck and Stone, simply because this is an instant. It gives you a nice scry, which is awesome. It deals with cards that you are generally worried about, and I like the 3 instants of the 1 sorcery because we have a ton. We have a ton of sorceries. We got Traverse the Uvenwald, we got Attune with the Ether, we got Descend upon the Sinful. We don't need any more sorceries in our deck to get to Delirium. We need instants because these are the only 3 we actually run in the main. If I expect to run into a heavily meta of blue-white flash, I think I'd rather play a 2-2 split of these because this deals with Spell Queller. And Spell Queller is a problem with this deck, but I don't anticipate to run into too many of those just because RG Marvel is so popular right now. The deck only runs 20 lands. I like the 4 Ether Hubs for obvious reasons. I like the 3 split of Botanical Sanctum and Fortified Village. Main deck, we got largely more white. The blue is really only for Tamiyo in the main, but we have a number of blue sideboard cards. So I think the 3-3 split is correct. 6 forests. Green is our main color, so we need to play that. We need to play that number of forests. Really, this deck runs 24 lands because the Attune with Ether's help are essentially fetch lands that just cost you a mana instead of a life. And then 1 island and 3 plains. Alright, let's move on to the sideboard. Again, this is, because this deck is so new, I just kind of went with what I felt was were some cards that I was going to need. So we have 2 more Eldrazi, 1 more Ulamog for when I feel that my opponent has a lot of permanents that are a pain to deal with. I found that it's quite good against Metallurgic Summonings. I like bringing it in against the Marvel Pseudo Mirror. Same with Worldbreaker, just to get rid of those pesky artifacts and enchantments. Sigarda also comes in against the Marvel matchup. And I like boarding out a couple of 1 or 2 Ishkanas in the Marvel matchup in favor of some of these bigger threats. And Sigarda also comes in against any deck that runs black for fear of Lost Legacy, because that can really cripple us. And also, if they do hit the Lost Legacy before we hit Sigarda, Sigarda acts as another potential win condition. Tireless Tracker is really good for the grindy matchups, so I bring it in against some Jeskai Control. I've seen some Metallurgic Summonings Control. It's really good. It's an early threat if they can't deal with it. So our blue spells, I think, are our most important ones. I found that Jeskai Control or Jeskai Flash or anything that runs just the or even just the blue-red Dynavolt Tower deck that their only creature is Torrential Gearhulk. That's when these 3 particular counterspells come in. What I'll normally do is I'll hold off landing a Marvel. Or I'll hold off playing a Marvel until I see one of these, so that I can counter their counter towards the Marvel. And if I find that they're running a lot of Void Shatters, I may bring in Ceremonious Rejection as well. But this right here is largely just for the mirror. Atlantic Purge, this was kind of, actually I'll get to that card after. Linvala is really good for Mardu, the Mardu Vehicles deck, or the the red-white aggro decks, something where they get a lot of creatures and they hit me down to very little life. Anything that goes wide, Linvala is a really good card for. Stasis Snare for more Emrakul decks. Just another way to deal with that card. Emrakul is just such a huge problem. It's great when you can land it, and it really hurts when your opponent lands it. Atlantic Burge was because I could not figure out another card to put in this sideboard, and it has a lot of versatility. So normally we have a number of permanents that we can sack to this, including just a Nishikana token. If we have a Marvel in play, it also adds an energy. So it's not a terrible price to pay for quite a large range of things to hit. I've casted it before and hidden my opponent's Stasis Snare that they used to get rid of Ulamog. So I get Ulamog back into play. Now they can't attack, I swing, exile 20. So it's a fairly useful card in that sense. Alright, so that's the deck. Like I said, I'm not 100% on the sideboard, but I think this deck is quite good, and we're going to run it through a 5-match league, and I will see you guys in round 1.